Hello everyone, welcome once again. Today in our video we are going to talk about a 3 by 8 decoder. So we are going to talk about decoder, what a decoder is, and I'll give you a brief details and then explanation and the definition of what a decoder is. So without wasting much time, let's move on to our circuit diagram of 3 by 8 decoder. So this is my 3 by 8 decoder here. What is a decoder? Someone may ask. So a decoder simply is a combinational logic circuit that converts binary information from an input, which is an input, whether any of input you want, or from an input line to a maximum of two unique output lines. It activates only one output line for each unique binary output combination. So a decoder is a combinational logic circuit that converts binary information form of an input line to a maximum of two unique output lines. It activates only one output line for each unique binary input connection or combination. So with this explanation, we move on to what is a 3 by 8 decoder. That is the question. A 3 by 8 decoder. What is a 3 by 8 decoder? So a 3 by 8 decoder simply it's a device or a circuit that has three input lines, which will be S1, S2, and then S0, or S0, S1, S2, and then eight output lines. So the output lines can be labeled to your choice or whatever you want to label them. You can label them with only numbers, or you can attach an alphabet and then a number also. And then one enabled input. So the output lines, one for each possible combination of the three input bits, and then the one enable input is used to activate or disable the decoder. So when we enable the enable input, the decoder sets exactly one output high, which becomes 1, based on the binary value of the input. All other output remains low, or that is 0. That is 0. So input S0, these are the input lines. So these are our input lines, and these are all our output lines. So this is U0. I'm labeling my output line from U0 to U7. So let me do the changes here. This becomes U1, then this becomes U2, U3, U4, U5, U6, and then the last output U7. Now, mind you, we are getting U7 here because I started my labeling from 0. So this 0 here becomes 1, becomes the first output. So since I'm starting from 0, we are going to get U7 as our final output. But this is the 8th output. Okay. So the input lines, which is S0, S1, and then S2, are the binary select lines. Which controls which output to be activated. Now, this is our NOT gate of the circuit, and the NOT gate that we have here also inverts the input to create all 8 combination of true and complemented inputs. Then this AND gate, this is an AND gate. This AND gate that we have here, which becomes a total of 8. The AND gate is connected to a unique combination of S0, S1, and S2 and their complements, along with the enable signal. So this is the enable line, the enable input, and then the enable signal. So how would this work? For instance, each output line represents one of the 8 possible binary combination of 3 inputs. So each output line represents one of 8 possible binary combination of 3 inputs. So for instance, to activate an output S1, S2, S0. To activate an output, if I want to activate one of the outputs, and we maintain S2 to be 0, S1 also 0, and then S0 to be 1. We will have one of the outputs, we will be activating one of the outputs, but we need to enable that output first. So when we come to the enable line or the enable input and then we enable it, it tells us which output we've activated. So in this case, when we select and we enable it, output U4, U4, U4 becomes active, becomes active, becomes active. See? So now let's leave this on and let's do a couple of switches. We turn this off. So when all 3 becomes 000, we enable the first output. Output 0 is active. Output 0 is active. And mind you, the output will only be activated when the enable line is also activated. When the enable line or the enable input is also activated, which is the E. So it becomes active. When I turn this off, now I want us to activate output 3. Output 3. So we leave S2 to be 0, S1 to be 1, S0 to be 1, and then we enable it. Now in this case, output 6 is enabled. Output 6 is enabled. Output 6 is enabled. So okay, so I've done some little changes here because I labeled my select lines or the input wrongly. I'm supposed to label it from above S2, S1, and then S0. So now let's do the correct thing to activate this output U3, U3, U3. So S2, let me turn this off. S2, S1, and then S0 becomes 0. Then let's enable the enable line. So to activate the U3, S0 will be 1, S1 will also be 1, and then U3 becomes active. And then U3 becomes active. To activate output 4, S0 becomes 0, S1 becomes 0, and then S2 becomes 1, and then output 4 is activated. To activate output 6 or 7, let's do output 7, which means everything becomes 1 1 or high high high, which means output 7 will be activated. To activate output 6 that we have here, or U6 that we have here, to activate U6, this U6 that we have here, we are going to deactivate only S0. Then U6 becomes active. So in this case, which means every other output becomes low or are low, and then U6, that is this very output, becomes high. So the 3x8 decoder is like you having a hotel hallway with 8 rooms and then a keypad with 3 switches. Based on the combination of the switch S2 to S0, only one door output opens. The enable key E is like the power knob or the power key. Without that power key, no door will open. Without the power key, no door will open. So the input S2 to S0 is the binary selector, and then the enable key or the enable input or the enable line is the activator. It's what will activate the decoder. Then the NOT gate that we see here provides inverted signal, and then the AND gate also combines select lines and enable the signal. The output lines, which are all 8, only one becomes high at a time, or only one becomes activated at a time. So in conclusion, the 3x8 decoder is essential in memory addressing and then data routing to control signal generation. It simplifies logic design by converting binary codes into one hot encoded output. Thank you very much for joining me on this video. Join me on my next video and I'll be explaining another mux another decoder to you. I'll be explaining 4x16 decoder. 4x16 decoder. Bye bye for now.